Welcome to Dance Uncorked podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Jean, and today I am here with a very special guest, an old friend from Florida in Orlando during my time there. This is Stephanie Williams, and I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to reacquaint myself with you again. It's been forever.
It has.
Way too.
It really has. And I wanted to bring Steph on here because I think you're an incredible dance artist. You're an incredible educator. You're an incredible mentor to a lot of young people, actually, especially, and it ranges. Like it's young people that may or may not be interested in dance, but dance is kind of the pinnacle of your outreach. So I wanted to bring you on here to kind of talk about not just what you do as a dancer and like how you like your art, but also how you're taking your art and using that to serve the community around you. Because I think art can be very, very self-serving at times, right? And as it should be sometimes, like it's therapeutic for the self and the inner to look inward. But art, almost the whole point too, if you're going to do it for other people's eyes, like it should be to serve also. And it doesn't have to be, but it's even better art when it does serve a community, especially communities that may not have access to dance and the arts like other ones do. So before we go into all of that, as a nod and to honor your Royal Diamonds dance team that you coach and that you've organized and that you kind of manage, we wanted to go a little different route today with our beverage. We are drinking sparkles today. Cheers. Oh, wow. That's good. Okay. So, right. So today, Stephanie and I are drinking the Chandon Brut. So Chandon is a brand that you can find. I think you found it at a like a liquor store, and I found it at like my local grocery store. The different kinds vary as far as like what you can find. So it seems like they distribute, but they distribute very strategically. So Stephanie is actually drinking the Chandon Brut Rosé.
Yep.
And I am drinking just the Chandon Brut, like the traditional classic sparkling wine champagne that you would get, that you would want like on a New Year's Eve celebration or something like that. So let's talk about this Chandon Brut, both the rosé and the regular. Chandon is actually a California-based like winery, and they get their grapes from California, so they're true California, and they're an older company. They actually started in 1973, and they were one of the first French-owned sparkling wine ventures in California at that time. So that's something unique about this company. They have a winery in Yountville, California, and it's called Domaine Chandon. And if you look on their website, it looks spectacular. It's, it's a very luscious venue. I think it's like a little vacation oasis. I would definitely go there as like a treat or a vacation and spend time there, just because it seems like they put a lot of effort into their grounds and just like the green, and they really try and give you that like California experience in the vineyards in Napa Valley. So this is definitely a place on your list if you're going to go wine tasting in California. They call it an American Eden. So they do things like they have a lot of different tours you can take on their property. It's tailored for casual and like upscale wine drinkers. So it's a little bit of both. And they have like cabanas. This was cool. They have cabanas that you can like reserve. And I was really into that. So that's my vacation. I was like, that's vacation right there, honey.
Heck yeah.
And then they do like a bubbly cocktail series. So not only do they just sell these as is, but they have a lot of fun with their bubbles, and they do different kinds of cocktails, and I'm sure they do seasonal cocktails. And you can find all this information out on their website. You can do picnics on the lawn. And price point range, I would say I paid about $23, $24 for my bottle. Is that kind of the same amount that you paid for yours?
This one, I think, because it was on a sale or something
Oh,
like that,
nice.
it was like 18, 19, so about the same,
Perfect.
couple dollar
Perfect.
difference.
Awesome. So yeah, this is I when I get champagne just at my local grocery store, my price point range typically is around $10 to $20 because I'm trying, not to necessarily get the $4 champagne. But not there's nothing wrong with that. Like do your thing. But I that's just kind of my price point range when I'm looking to get into some champagne. So this kind of falls into that. It's a little bit on the upper end of that. So I would purchase this for like a special occasion, like if I had a dinner party or for New Year's or for Christmas. Like I would do this for a special occasion. That's just me personally. But I think it was really accessible. They actually put that in their verbiage on their website because they want it to be accessible. On their website, I think it is about $24 a bottle, and they have cases and club memberships and all kinds of stuff that you can look into. But let's talk about the differences in our wines. So I'm going to start with yours first, the rosé. And
Yes.
it's a beautiful color. Like I can just tell it's just gorgeous. It's actually that is a blend. It's
Yeah.
70% Chardonnay. It
Okay.
is 26% Pinot Noir, and it is 1% Meunier. And the Pinot Noir, what they do to get it that pink color, they do a they call it a maceration, like a short
Max.
skin maceration. And basically, from my understanding, because I'm no expert, but I'm an enthusiast. So from my understanding, it is when they keep the skins on for a certain amount of time and then they strip the skins. That's kind of how you get the flavor of wine. But the longer you keep the skins on, the more color it actually produces. So those deep reds that you see and the deep reds that you drink, those skins stay on much longer than like a Pinot Gris, or a Chardonnay or a Sauvignon Blanc. And for rosés, they keep it on a certain amount of time just so
Mm.
it can get this pinky color, not quite red, not quite white. So it's a little bit of in between.
Hmm.
So that's what they do for that, and they ferment it in steel, and then it goes through something called an 80% of malolactic fermentation. And with that, the best way I like to describe that is that's what's going to give it some texture. So it's not just like a two-dimensional wine. The malolactic fermentation requires like certain coverings around the barrels, the steel barrels, and different things are happening, and it gives it the wine that texture. This happens a lot for viogniers, like creamy. That's how I would say texture wise, it's going to give it a creaminess, and a little bit more like depth in the wine. So it goes through that too. Both of ours actually do.
Wow.
Yours is the only one though out of the two of ours today that goes through that short skin maceration, to give that color, so from the Pinot Noir grape. So Stephanie, tell me, when you taste it, you're supposed to taste some notes of strawberry. It's going to be creamy. There's raspberry and like notes of red currant, like aromas. What do
I
you?
definitely can smell it like an aroma.
Okay.
It's super strong, but it's not sweet either. Uh,
Okay.
Now, specifically, like with strawberries and raspberries, you said,
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly tasting it, but I know there's some
It's a
um,
berry. Ah. Okay.
type of berry, but it has a little bit of a little bit of a tart to it as well, probably because of the Chardonnay and
Yeah.
that. But it's very tasty.
Yeah.
Surprise.
In the maceration process, it strips most of the flavor, like the sweetness from the grape and the sugar, and it keeps the bitterness. So it's
Yeah.
part of also that maceration process where you're gonna keep that tangy bitter, note in there. But I love that you can at least like notice that it's a berry flavor. Like, you don't quite know what it is, and I definitely think if you were probably eating raspberries and strawberries with
Yeah.
this, it'd be like on point and it would just look beautiful, right?
And
Got a
I
lot of
think
love too.
normally too, I would usually put some type of juice in here, so
Yeah.
it's nice to get a taste of it without anything, distracting it from
Yeah.
it.
And I do a lot of wine tasting, but I'm not really prevalent in sparkling wine tasting, like as far as like distinguishing notes and really tasting it, for its true authentic value. I don't have a lot of practice in that, so that's definitely something on my list to do, is how to actually taste sparkling wine, because
Mhm.
it has its own thing too, but maybe for me it's hard to push aside the bubbles and
Right.
like kind of generalize champagne with the bubbles in it. So I have to like mentally get past the bubbles to see if I can actually taste these little aromas, because it's coming from wine that has all that stuff in it. It's just like getting there is the journey for me. But I don't know if, but I love that you were able to distinguish like a few things. So I'm going to drink mine. I'm supposed to taste, what am I supposed to taste? Nose, it's supposed to smell like apple and pear and like really citrusy, which I did smell when I opened the bottle. Like I don't even have to just like sniff the glass to find that out. When I opened the bottle, like apples just came out of that for sure. So definitely getting the apples on the nose. And it's supposed to be biscuity and creamy, like a creamy biscuity creaminess is what they say. And I love that description just because that's brunch to me. Like I'm like, yes, like that is what I want. So yeah, definitely getting some citrus. And I get the creamy for sure. And it's a like there's dryness, like for sure. But there's a creaminess at the beginning and it kind of shifts to a different kind of creaminess at the end. Um, and yeah, like remnants of biscuit type, like flaky. I just think like butter and biscuits and brunchy foods, croissants and all those fancy things. Um, so I really like it. I think it's a for I think I would buy it for a special occasion and um definitely like indulge if I wanted to like just spend a little extra on my champagne that week or for a special gathering. I would definitely go for the Chandon. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, no, I've had Shannon before. I've done Rick Ross has his own line of champagne as well,
Mhm.
Bel Air.
Yeah.
I've done so many different kinds, and my husband, he likes the ones that are like 60, 70, $80 bottles.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we can do those on a special occasions, but
Yes.
definitely every day. But I definitely would do the Shannon, and I'm gonna try yours too,
Mhm.
and mix that in, and maybe for my next brunch.
Yeah, the regular brute, actually, something special about that is that that was actually the first sparkling wine they released back in 1976. So mine is
Wow.
their kind of oldest sparkling wine that they introduced to the public, many years ago. So I would love to see you try this for your next brunch. And then also another fun fact, actually two fun facts. Their head winemaker is a female,
Ah,
which I've been actually um, saying like in my last episodes and things like that, that it's actually rare for females to be head winemakers. You'll see a lot of females in the front of the house and the back of the house doing different tasks and in different roles. But for me, and the time that I've spent in the wine industry, it was pretty rare for females to kind of be that head winemaker. But the last three wines that I've explored it in my podcast episodes all have female winemakers. So
that's
loving that.
what.
Shouting out Shannon for their female head winemaker, like go girl. And oh, they also for these grapes, what they do, this is definitely different than an Oregon process. They harvest the grapes for these at night
Hmm.
during,
What?
which apparently like it adds to the brightness and like the freshness of the taste of the grape. So probably the cooler climate, like coming off the
Okay.
vine. The grapes that they get, the vineyards that they get these grapes from are going to be in Northern California, where the climate is much cooler than Southern and Central California. So it's cooler already, but then taking it down at night in the much cooler weather, um, I could see how it definitely would add some like crisp, like taste to and aromas to the wine that they're making from those grapes. So that's another fun fact about how they harvest.
That is cool. What specific kind of grapes are they using? Are you using the red ones, green ones? Like,
So they're using that the Chardonnays are gonna be green. That's
Green.
typically like green golden by the time it's ready to harvest. And then Pinot Noirs are usually dark purple. And those are those purple grapes that you'll see. But it's fun because Pinot Gris grapes, or at least some varietals, are actually dark purple.
Oh,
And they
cool.
do that maceration quickly on a Pinot Gris, like dark purple grape, so that it brings in no color at all. So it's still a white wine. So the grapes can kind of vary. Like just because it's a red grape doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a red wine, and vice versa. I think it's pretty interesting how this all goes down, and it's all nature's agenda. Like it's kind of just the way it works. And I just love how this has been happening for so long. Like this is a really like ancient winemaking is an ancient art form and practice. But we're still enjoying and talking about it on a podcast in 2021. So
Yes.
I
I wanted to go to like a winery and make my own and get in there and stomp the grape. Have you done that before?
I have never stomped grapes. We kind of, if we do have stuff like that out here, it's definitely for novelty purposes only. So
Oh,
they would take like the grapes they're not going to use for harvest and like maybe do something like that for the
oh,
guests. But what they actually do instead of stomping it, they call it like a punch down, and they use tools. Like
okay.
everything is machine. And I mean, there's still a lot of manual labor. The punch down is actually somebody going down and punching down the grapes, to kind of get that juice and part of the whole fermentate to start that fermentation process before it goes into the barrels. So I have never stomped grapes, but I have lots of friends who have. But I've been able to witness punch down, and I've bottled, and I've labeled, and I've done all kinds of stuff, and just seen it go through this process from vine to bottle.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and if you head out to California, is definitely one of the biggest states for wine in the United States. But Oregon is pretty heavy in a wine industry,
Mm.
and we've kind of climbed the ranks over the last like 10 years as far as being a competitive wine industry force. And we do a lot more Pinot Noirs, because our climate is cooler
Mhm.
than California. So California is like notorious for those big reds, the Zinfandels, the Cabs, like all those big ones. Like the California grapes are just to die for down there. And yeah, Oregon has we can get those in Southern Oregon, but Oregon's mostly known for those like Pinot Noirs, and because we emulate a climate that's similar to France.
Mm.
We're gonna compete with the French Pinot Noirs that are coming from over there, and then we can kind of do our own thing here. So it's growing. It's a growing industry, and it's a really cool industry to be a part of.
Definitely, for sure. I never have been so informed, so I appreciate you, Lindsay, for a history lesson on Shannon. How do you pronounce it?
I call it Chandon. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I think so too. So definitely, now you've really intrigued me to want to get out and go to a winery. I've been
Oh
to
yeah.
one in Connecticut recently, but I really was just there to taste all the different wines. And one of the fun thing that they did was um, it was a slushy wine. I never had
Oh
a
yeah.
slushy wine. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I would totally do this again, especially in the summer months.
Oh yeah. Frosés are like
Yes.
the thing. They are the bomb. I love frosés. And the wine cocktails are a big thing now too. With these
Cool.
bubbles and stuff, like you can really play with your wine. You can add fruit and just do like a simple mimosa or a Bellini, or you can like muddle some things and actually make a cocktail out of some bubbles, depending on what you add to it. But you should check
Right.
out the Shannon website because they have some really amazing cocktail recipes. So that
Oh,
would be another fun
def-
thing to try for
def-
your brunch.
definitely gonna have to do that because just the basic, orange juice, throw in some fruit,
Right.
want to spice it up a little bit and try something
Yes.
different that I'm sure my guests would never have had, or if they have had it, they didn't expect to get it from us at home.
Right. Totally. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to you reporting back on how your next brunch
Yeah,
goes.
I will send you pictures and video.
Okay, perfect. I love it. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining me today. I think you're a really special artist, And I can't wait to talk about all the really amazing things that you're doing in dance for yourself. I see you constantly on social media, kind of like doing your thing, like going to class for yourself, but also you're a leader in the community, teaching also classes. So you're a dance instructor, you're a cheer fit. Is it a cheer fit instructor?
So I'm a cheer fit influencer.
Influencer.
Hmm?
Cool. So, and you're just, I mean, you have a full time job also, and you've started the Center for the Arts. So you've like, I like,
Doing the most,
you
Lindsay.
are
Doing
doing the
the
most.
most.
Like, as strong as the woman next to me, like that's how I feel about this whole thing and how I feel about you. So to start us off, like, why don't you give us a little bit of dance history about your dance history, and then how
Okay.
kind of like what how that led you to what you're doing now.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Massachusetts, so from the New England area. So that's where I learned and got into dance. Starting at the age of like 2 or 3, my mom put me into, just a regular rec,
Okay.
like a after school program, sort of thing, and just to kind of see if I liked it. And I guess I took a big liking to it. And she found Sherry Gold Dance Studio, which is now called the Gold School, which is located in Massachusetts under the direction of Ray and Rennie Gold. And I started dancing there, and at the age of 5. So I was there for about 5 years, did competitive dance with them as well, did my first solo, which was a modern style of dance. Uh,
Nice.
had a really good time and got to travel. Even had an opportunity to dance for President Clinton at the time at the White House on the South Lawn during the
Oh
Easter
my
egg.
gosh.
So
Whoa.
it was definitely a cool experience, to be 10 years old and to get to be on the South Lawn and performing, knowing he was there. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to really meet him, but we knew he was present.
Right.
That was a cool experience. And then from there, we moved to Connecticut, and I danced at 2 studios, but the one studio that I stayed with throughout middle school and high school was Dance Unlimited under direction of Janet Martone, and she's still there and still teaching. And I have to go back and visit, but that's when I really took a turn as far as really embracing my art even more and understanding what I was dancing to. I think when we're younger, we're just dancing to have fun, and you're not realizing the lyrics behind it and the emotion that goes into the dance.
Mhm.
And so in high school, when I was dancing and still competing, that's when I really dives more deep into the art of it and found my way. And was that for me, that was my way of escape, and just so I can just, whenever I would go into a dance studio and just have the mirrors, the bar, I'm closing my eyes because I'm just envisioning myself there, and it's just
Yeah.
a safe haven, and if I'm angry, I know I can put on a song and just let out my emotion. If I'm sad, I can have that contemporary and the lyrical, which I miss having you. Uh,
I miss teaching all that stuff
your
too.
classes. And so it's just, I danced there, and then I went off to college. I did cheerleading and dance team there, because I did cheerleading in high school as well. And so I was able to do both. And then I moved to graduated in 2006. So don't do the math. I'm pretty up, but I don't feel it. So that's all that matters. My body's
Don't
something,
look it either. You're
but
good.
my heart is much younger, y'all. So I moved to Florida, and I was like, I still want to dance. I still need to get out there and do things. I dip and dabbed and tried different auditions and so forth. Even when I was up north, I did audition for different places, and you know, I I really missed dance and everything so much. So I found a local studio, which was Spotlight, between Spotlight and Hard Drive, and dancing with Casper, dancing with Kendrick, and just there's a big dance community here in Orlando, and it has grown.
Yeah.
Like, it really has grown. And so just being able to go around and take classes from everyone, from ballet to lyrical, contemporary to hip hop to heels, and I could never get rid of dance. And when my sister was in high school, her junior year, her coach for cheerleading at the time was looking for someone to come in and do some choreography. And I had been on staff for UCA, which is a cheerleading association program, and I did staff for them. And I was hired a lot from schools just to come in and do their dance portion
Right.
of their their cheer routine. So she had hired me to come in and do that. And then that following year, she knew she wasn't returning to be the coach. So took it on. I was like, you know what? Why not? I coached in up north. I forgot. Oh, I used to teach. I've been teaching dance since I was 18.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, I was teaching dance at 7 Star Performing Arts in New York. So it's just been a part of me. I was a student teacher. Oh my God, Lindsay, if I really would go, we'd be here for hours if I went through and places that I taught. But just to get to the like meat and potatoes of everything and how I got started with the art center. So I took on the role as the coach at Gateway High School here in Osceola County in Florida, in Kissimmee, and I really enjoyed it. We had a great time. We did really well. We won at our regionals, at states. We should have gotten fourth, but we got a deduction.
Oh,
So after that, I was just so heartbroken, and things were changing with administration at the high school. So I decided to step down as the coach, after coaching there for about a year and a half, 2 years. And when I started my career as a school counselor, when I got my master's degree, I was at Point Siena High School. And one of my students there, his name is Jonathan Klein. And he's my dance son. He calls me his dance mom.
mhm.
Every day he would ask me, he'd be like, "Mom, can you please start a dance team here? Can you start a dance team?" I'm like, "No, it's my first year. I just want to get acclimated. I want to make sure I'm comfortable being here. My work schedule and making sure all my things, my ducks are in a row." And then that next year, school starts, in 2016. He was like, "All right, it's the new year. Can we start a dance team?" So that's when I started the dance team at Point Siena High School, and it's called the Royal Diamonds, which it's under the umbrella of Diamond in the Rough. So Diamond in the Rough is pretty much, it's a mentoring group, but it also includes the arts, really just helping young ladies and some young men, just figuring out who they are and being confident and supporting one another and learning that through the arts as well. Because I don't know about you, but for me, the arts is what's helped me in speaking and like doing presentations and
Yes.
um, because I'm not, and surprisingly, and most people probably, if they hear this, they'll probably laugh or think I'm crazy. I'm very much an introvert,
Uh-huh.
extrovert. I'm very shy, and I'm not usually one to go out there and network and like meet people. Usually it's like they'll come towards me.
Yeah.
But with this program, not only have I been able to help them get out there and like explore and like be confident and being fearless, through the Diamond in the Rough, I was able to help that. And the reason, the name for that, I don't know, did you compete?
I did. I did a lot of like dance competition specific, like convention
Okay.
competitions. Yeah.
So at dance competitions, not only do they have like, your, now they have like triple platinum, I don't even
Yeah.
know, what happened to just
First,
bronze,
yes.
silver, and gold? Then it's like ultimate gold, or no, it's platinum. It's like
Yeah.
so different levels, and I'm like,
Yes.
hold on, like, anyways.
I'm always like, which mineral are we going to win today? Like, I don't know. Like, which periodic table element
Right.
have they discovered to make an award here?
I'm like, listen, they just need to go back to the basics, and not everybody's a gold winner, you know?
You said it.
Not every, it's just like some sports, sorry to get off topic, but they give everybody a trophy.
It's true.
Then they all, when you grow up, these kids think that everyone, you should always win.
And that's not how it was for you and I. Like
No,
you walked away with nothing sometimes.
yeah,
Like you brought nothing back. Sometimes.
nothing, nothing. Or
Yeah.
you can't, I don't, I definitely never got like a bronze. I was always either, when I first started, it was like high silver, golds.
Yeah.
Then it was, later as I grew older, ultimate gold, platinums. But one thing that I love the most about competitions was the special awards.
Uh-huh.
So awards were where the judges would single handedly pick out certain routines or dancers that they really enjoyed, um, for whatever different reason. And
Right.
one of the awards was called a diamond in the rough.
Mm.
And that award went to a soloist who they felt had potential and just had this star quality about them. They had this extra little je ne sais quoi or something that really stood out. They may not have been the best dancer or the best technical, or they
Right.
may not have been won overall or the title, you know. There's just something about them that stood out.
You
And
had it,
I
you know?
I received that award
Yeah.
as a
Well,
young
I'm gonna
dancer.
cheers for you, diamond in the rough. Like, good for you.
Thank you. So I received that award, and I was thinking of the name. That's something that always stuck to me. You know, when you think about diamonds, they're not all the way pure.
Right.
They're a little bit of, you know,
A little bit of grit
a
too.
little bit of in it, and it has the potential to be this shining
Yeah.
diamond. And so I said, okay, I'm going to name my program a diamond in the rough.
Nice.
And I'm going to be mixing the mentoring, and I'm going to somehow include dance because the arts is just amazing. And I know it helps people express themselves. If they can't verbally, they
Right.
can do it through dance or do it through music. So I called it a diamond in the rough. And then when I bring it back to Point Siena High School, I was like, well, we're going to call the dance team the Royal Diamonds Dance Team.
Nice.
So we're established in 2016. We're now in 2021. We're in the fifth year, still
Wow.
strong.
That is amazing that, like, one, the interest of your students has carried you through 5 years and more. I'm sure if it's been going on this long, they want it and they want to be a part of what you've like cultivated. And then also your administration is supporting that too. Like they are 100%. It sounds like they're 100% behind you. And it's such a positive. Like, what are some of the positive impacts that you would love to share about this dance team and how it's changed either the school environment, your personal life, or just like the lives of your students? Like how has that changed things for you guys?
Um, well, the interesting thing is I'm no longer at the school. I've
Right.
resigned my own thing separately, but I'm still a counselor, still a therapist. But the principal asked me when I putting in my resignation, will you still do the dance team? And he's like, I really think that it's been so positive having you here working with the girls and a couple boys who've been part of the team. And I wouldn't want to see you take that away with you leaving. And it took me a little bit of talking and trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do. So I maintained keeping the team. So just a little back on that. But in speaking with the girls, especially getting to watch some of them from their freshman year till the
Yeah.
ones that I have here as seniors, being part of the team for four years, 4 years, and they said at first they were really shy,
Mhm.
and really quiet. Kind of to themselves, but they love to dance. And so coming to tryouts, they weren't sure, if this is something they could do because one, unlike at a studio, they never had training. They've only been able to, do what they do from what they see and just their natural abilities. And
Right.
I came to those kids who may not be able to afford to take dance outside at a studio
Right.
and just have a passion for it. And so being able to watch them and see them grow and for them to from freshman year till senior year and just shine and be so bright and build that confidence, when they walk into a room, just seeing how they carry themselves, versus freshman year when they're kind of just quiet, real to themselves, kind of in the corner, just not as vocal. Then senior year, it's like this whole new person, this young woman has evolved, and to be part of that, that's the most rewarding.
Oh yeah.
It's part of their life and helping mold who they are as young ladies and some young men. And just also, when they're having a bad day, like knowing that after school they have a team to come to and a safe place that they can come and just dance and be free. Sometimes they share like, well, who I am at dance is not who I am when I get home, or I'm a completely different person. It's almost like their alter egos. And they just fun, and they also know that I don't play. When it comes to grades, we make sure that's part of the program. You have to have the good grades. We're not a sport at the school. We're considered a club sport, so we don't have a GPA requirement, but I put that on them, that they have to maintain at least a 2.5, if not higher,
Mm.
throughout the course of being there with me. They also are required to do community service. We have different events that they go to. We've done the breast cancer walk every year, except this year with COVID, but we still supported and donated,
Right.
you know, walked at our home school for them. Um, we perform at basketball games, and just that's a place where they get to have fun and be in front of their peers and just kind of show off what they've been learning, throughout the season. Do you ever do a dance team at school or just studio?
No, I did a lot of studio, and at age 15 I competed in from age 8 to 15. So by the time I turned 15, I was in extreme burnout
Mm,
with competitive dancing because, as you know,
yeah,
it's rigorous, both physically and emotionally.
for
Um,
sure.
so I made the decision, and in consultation with my parents too, because my parents were amazing dance parents. They were my mom in particular,
Mm,
was always like, if I was ever like up against a challenging time in the studio, it was her only question was, "Are you still having fun?" And if
yes.
the answer was no, then we were leaving. Like
Yes.
that was the bottom line, and I knew that throughout my whole studio career. So I got to that point where the answer was actually no. And I just wanted to, a lot of my friends were joining the high school dance teams. So that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be social and like with my friends and just, have dance still in my life, but without the pressures of competition and the rigorous training
Hmm.
that I had experienced my whole life essentially. Um, so yeah, I did high school dance team, and those were some of the best memories that I have of dance. And my dance teacher, Janie Ryan, like she gave me so much space to just be creative and be the dancer that I wanted to be, not necessarily, the dancer that I needed to be in order to win this specific award or to be noticed in the eyes of others. Like she just
Yeah.
kind of gave me and my peers a lot of space, and I love that, and I feel like that's what you're doing with these young men and women for your dance team. It's notable that you are still running this dance team even though you don't work at the high school. Like that in and of itself is amazing. And I just want to like honor the fact that what you're teaching these children and the requirements that you are putting on them is so much larger than dance. And that is the essence of what dance is, right? Like it extends beyond the four walls of the studio. Like when you learn dance lessons, you're learning life lessons. That's a Joe Tremaine quote. And like
Yep.
he's absolutely right. Like you're learning confidence, the fact that you're setting educational like expectations for them, and community service, like you're teaching them things about how to be a good community member and what that takes. I mean, the word you use in your center website and like your mission is excellence. Like why should they be anything less? And this is how, and you're setting them up for that, versus anything else. So I just wanted to like take a moment and honor that, and acknowledge that you are doing that. And it's so like rare to find teachers and mentors that do that. You are changing students' lives. They're going to remember you the rest of their lives, and they'll probably stay in contact with you too.
And I do from before, and same thing that I've done with the dance team girls. I did it with my cheer girls, and it's so nice to hear back from some of them, and just seeing them, married with kids, and just some of the things that I taught them. I even had one that I used to coach, two actually that I used to coach on the dance team and my cheer team, they came to my heels class a couple
Oh,
weeks ago. And just to see them there was just like, wow, they still support me and they still look to me as that guidance. I'm no longer a coach, but now they're calling me Stephanie.
right.
But
I know it's weird.
I'm like, yes, it's Stephanie.
I'm
You're absolutely
pretty I'm pretty sure some of my old students still, like, to this day, like, if I actually saw them in person, they would still call me Miss Lindsay, and
some
I mean,
do.
and it does they don't even think twice. They're just like, "Oh my gosh, Miss Lindsay." I'm like, Well, I mean, you're like a full-on grown up, like, you own a home now. That's so cool, like, you can still keep calling me that, but you don't have to,
I
'cause you,
still
like,
call
pay
my
mortgages
so
now, so
yeah.
having babies, like, you're just like, you're an adult. Um, but I just tell me a little bit about the Center for the Arts, and kind of you kind of talked about like why you I mean, maybe you haven't. Like I feel like I know now based on like your history and everything you've already shared, like kind of what fueled you to start the center. But if you have any more specifics about the
Yeah.
reasons why behind it, and then like is it a physical thing? I know it's a programming, like you focus on programming a lot and outreach. So how can you kind of dive deeper into that?
So the Diamond in the Rough was started first in like
Okay.
2015, and that was just the mentoring program. And then as the years progressed, I became a mental health therapist as well. And knowing, excuse me, bridging the two, mental health and the arts. Definitely a lot of my sessions, I do a lot of artsy things and journaling and drawing and
Yeah.
music, everything. So in 2018, when prior to meeting my husband, I was, I said, I got to find a way to cater not just to the dancers, to cater. And I always loved arts because when I was in college, I worked at a place called the YMCA, Escape to the Arts in Danbury, Connecticut, and they catered to everyone, and it was a
Mhm.
center for the youth, and I believe they had some adult classes in the evening for those who could not afford to go take outside classes in art, in music, in theater, in dance. And I was the dance instructor there as a part-time, one of many part-time jobs.
Right.
And the kids would pay, some of them maybe $1 or $2 for the week just to be there. And fast forward, I always knew that's something I wanted to do. And watching the movie Honey, and
Yeah.
having the center, but it was just dance. And I was like, I want to recreate that here
Yeah.
in Florida. I want to cater to those students who don't have an opportunity to go outside and who love the arts, but also fusing in that mental health aspect of it. So I created the Center for the Arts. Initially, I really wanted to have a physical building,
Mhm.
but I'm not ready yet for
Yeah.
that. Coming in the future for sure. So right now it's really different schools, different communities, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA,
Yeah.
any even for birthday parties or anything of that nature. They can hire me, book me to come in, and I'll do painting with them. We'll do arts and crafts. We'll do photography. Kids love to use cameras, and even more so on their cell phones. There's so much you
Right.
can. There's music, and as far as the vocal part of it, and even theater with skits and doing short plays and so forth. So that's where it stemmed from. Just
Wow.
want to be able to give back to the community, and for those who can't afford a regular location,
Yeah.
that they do this, and I'll come to you. I know transportation is hard for a lot of parents, and even now with COVID, it's a challenge. So people losing their jobs and money, and so my thing is, eventually I'll have the we'll have the big facility, a big home where people can come into. But right now, it's just me going out to the community and providing that, the
Well,
art.
and how wonderful is it that you can have a company like this and a center and like a mission and this programming, but you don't have to have the building. Like you don't have to have it,
We
and
do
you
it in
can
the
still
park. We do it wherever.
yes, and
Just
you can
I got
still
the supplies. bring me the people, and we'll make create art.
Yeah. And you can still make that difference. And like, thank God, because COVID, things like COVID,
Hmm.
if it takes out that physical space aspect of it, a lot of people have been left with nothing, and your program that you've set up even before all this happened, right? You've set it up so that you can still continue and press onward,
Yeah.
and still reach people, because I love that you combine mental health with art, because honestly for me, like, it is one and the same. um I'm seeing a lot of dance studio owners struggle right now because that physical space where a lot of their students would come to regularly, they don't have that anymore, and there's a lot of mental health crisis, like, situations happening because of that. So I love that you've built something that is community based without the physical, like, space that is necessary for that, but like you've made it necessary, like you've built it already, and
Hmm.
you're still allowing for creativity and how people come together to do art for their mental health, and vice versa, how they do their mental health with their art. So it's really cool that you've already built that and that you established that, and that I think I can't wait till you actually do get that physical location, just because it'll take it times 10 to the 10th
Yeah.
degree. But knowing that it's already successful without that, like, I think I just wanted to honor and acknowledge
Thank
that
you.
too, like the barriers that you're breaking, with that. And that's my next question too, is with all of this that you've established, considering, you can consider COVID too, but even prior to that, what were some of the challenges, that you have faced or that you are currently facing with owning your own arts company and also managing a dance team? Like, and I'm sure there that those two things like have different scenarios and different issues. But I wonder, what are some like major obstacles that you've had to overcome? You're a female business owner, like you're a female woman of color business owner, in a big city. It's a lot more diverse where you are than where I am right now, and that's something that I've struggled with upon my move out here, um, just in my own experiences. But I was wondering about your challenges and the obstacles that you've kind of had to overcome in the last couple of years that you've built this center and also your dance team as well.
Honestly, Lindsay, I think I got in my own way
Oh, I'm
because
trying to sit back for that one.
I got in my own way.
Tell me.
And I've only been married coming up on 2 years, and he came in on the later end of me getting things really kicking off. But I got my own way because I'm my biggest critic,
Yeah.
and I wanted it a certain way, but being I had to accept that everything wasn't going to be just so. Just like the population that we cater to, it's not, they don't have certain expectations of things. They're just happy to be there and to be part of something, whether you're doing a major production or if you're just sitting and coloring
Right.
and doing that. So for me, I think the biggest struggle that I've had over these years is just getting out of my own way and remembering that it's not always just about me, and taking the selfish part of it out of how I wanted to see it, but remembering who I'm catering to, and it's about them. And that if I am not at my best and doing, like, and loving me and loving myself and feeling good about me internally, I can't give it out to
Ugh.
my population. You know what I mean? Because they feed off of my energy. And don't get me wrong, I have my good days and my bad days, but I've learned now how to channel that part of it and work through it because I have these kids are depending on me.
Yeah.
And another thing is sometimes I feel like, especially with the dance team, at times I feel like I want it more than they do. And I see so much potential, so many diamonds in the rough.
Right.
And it's like trying to and not preach, but like really get into their pores, get into them so they can truly see the potential that they have. And I've learned that I can't want it more than they do.
Right.
They've got to come to terms with it on their own. Some of them it's instant, others of them it's taking them these 4 years or beyond, to finally light bulb go off and they're like, wow, I can do all of this.
Yeah.
And so those are the two things, is me getting out of my own way and
Yeah.
not, and second, just not wanting it more than they do, like my dance team, as far as them not wanting it more than they do. And just sometimes, like just this past week at practice, I had to take a sit back for a second, and I had to do an evaluation of the kids. I brought them one on one, and I was like, you know, asked them to rate how they felt the team was going, how they think they're doing, what improvements could be done as a team for them individually. What's going on with you in school? How, check in. We do grade checks all the time. So I had to check in with their grades and just kind of sit back and just, you know, really ask them how they're doing
Yeah.
and see where they're at. So that way I can then go, back to the drawing board and reconfigure what needs to be done. Because just like art, like everyone has a different interpretation, everyone puts the pieces in different places, so I just had to utilize that and kind of take a step back. And it gets me emotional at times, just because I know how much art means to me,
Yeah.
but it means something different to my, who my population is, and just making sure I always bring it back to who I'm servicing.
Right. I mean,
That's like my biggest thing. It's just making it about them and not about me.
and that is, I mean, you're speaking, in my opinion, like one of the truest artists that you can be. Um, because it is about like what you want to do, and like you're chasing after your dreams to like fulfill something that you've always wanted, but it is, at the end of the day, it's about them. And I've said this multiple times even in my teaching career, because I empathize with the way you're feeling, especially when it comes to you wanting it more at times than they do. It can be so frustrating as an instructor to see so much greatness right in front of you, and you see it, but how did they see it? Like that is the challenge. And what I've had to say to myself is, Lindsay, you just plant the seeds. Like
Yes.
that is our job. We are the seed planters, and they are responsible for making that tree grow. Like they
Mm,
have to do it. They have to do the watering. They have to do the tending to the soil. They have to do all of it. And you can show them how, but it's their choice to do it. And I think, I love everything that you just said, especially about taking care of yourself so that you can show up for other people. That's something that I'm working on this year. Like, you have to set these boundaries and take care of yourself. Like, I see you out taking class for you all the time, and I'm like, she's doing it right. Like, she's
because that's
doing
my
it
peace
right.
of mind.
Yes. And it's not a selfish thing, like you want to, you're not trying to get likes on Instagram. And that permeates through the screen. Like, and we don't even know each other super well,
Right.
but like I can feel that through the screen every time I watch you or you post something. Like, it's because of the joy, and it's bringing you joy. And that is why you do it. And that joy reaches me across the country, like through the screen. So I love everything that you just said. And it's amazing that when you talk, because a lot of people, when you talk about challenges, it's because of other things, but you immediately were just like, it's me, like it's me, and it's my head, and like all these things. So
Mm.
I just think that's amazing, and I really love everything that you're doing, and I appreciate it. And I know your students, like I said, you're changing their lives. They're gonna be with you for a long time. Um, and you're gonna continue to just do work on so many potentially like great human beings. Like, you're sending them out to make this world a better place. So, like, thank you for all that you do. I'm sure you hear that, but if you don't hear it enough, like, I just want to say that, like, thank you for all that you're doing. The world in dance and in art, and just the world in general, needs more mentors and instructors and people who care like you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing what you're doing. And I love your sweatshirt. Like, I know your
Yes.
merch, I looked on your website, and your merch is like, a lot of it is sold out right now. So I think you're kind of in process of getting some new merch.
Yes,
But you have to let me know when that diamonds shirt is available again, because I
most definitely.
just love it. I love it. So your website, what's your center website? I can post all this at the bottom of my YouTube
Okay.
description and all of your Instagram stuff. So how can we follow you? How can we keep up to date with what you're doing?
Sure. Well, my main page for my personal one, because it's going to have everything there, is I'm from the Cape Verdean Islands, West Africa. So
Hey,
it's Miss Cape Verde. Then I have my art center one. It's the Center FTA
okay.
on Instagram. Um, the dance team, please watch us, support us. They're Royal Diamonds dance team there as well. So once you go to my personal page, you'll see the links for everything there. You'll get my website. It's www.thecenterfta.com. And right now, the biggest thing is just supporting and seeing my girls, because I don't have any boys currently.
Okay.
Just coming out and having a good time. I teach adult heal classes. I'm not doing them frequently just because I just don't have the time. And then, I really want to focus on the youth and the kids and that part of it. This coming Saturday, I'm hosting a free art workshop for those who are 5 to 13.
Okay.
In the spring, we're going to have hopefully if COVID, isn't too painful on us, we'll have a big dance workshop
Yeah.
for elementary, middle, and high school. And this summer, God willing,
I know.
God willing, I'm going to host, and this is something I've wanted for so long. And I get emotional about it because I'm so excited. And I really pray that it all pieces come together. I'll be hosting a summer camp,
Oh,
the center for the arts.
that's amazing.
Yes, and the pricing, I promise you, is going to be so low. Lunch will be included. They'll get a t-shirt so that they can go to different they can wear it for our field trip days. We'll have an end of summer showcase of everything that they've learned. So I'm really praying that all comes together. And then as far as my dance team, they're getting ready to compete. Their first virtual competition is
Oh,
this coming Saturday as well. I'm doing both.
okay.
And they're going to be held. And that's the other thing. The girls have to do volunteer hours. And so they get to volunteer with me at the camp and at the different events as well. So they get community service hours through that. And the seniors who end up graduating, they can apply to be a camp counselor. So that way
Oh, that's
they
amazing.
can earn some money before they go off to
Well,
school.
and it's full
So
circle. It's totally full circle. Like, it's that
give back.
circular, cyclical thing that you do for your
Yeah.
community. Like, that is what it's about. I love
They got to
that.
learn that. And if some of them may learn it at home, some of them may not.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that you all could do is just kind of just support, follow my pages. If you find it in their hearts, if they want to donate to the center as well, so we can help those kids who might not be able to afford it.
Yes.
Even with it being so at a low pricing, there's still some who are struggling, and
Right.
I don't want them not to be able to participate just because of money. Like, that is not a reason why they can't do something, even if it means, you know, asking my family members to support a child for
Right.
that event or for that summer, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you know, like no one should go without.
Absolutely. And this is your mission. Like, this is all part of that mission. Like you were saying, it's about who you serve. So you're doing everything that you can to serve that. And no one should go without. I'm right there with you. Let me know how I can help in any way. And I would love to actually, right before all that starts, or in the summer, we should reconnect and do another episode just talking
For
about what
sure.
you've got planned for that. Um,
Yeah.
I would love to hear what your plans are and just how the community is responding, and what you've got going on with that too. You always have something like amazing going on, um, all at the same time.
I know.
I really believe in what you're doing. I believe that you are an amazing artist. You're an amazing educator, an amazing mentor, amazing human being. And
Thank
I
you.
am lucky to know you. And I'm lucky that you agreed to do this podcast. So
Yes, it was so much fun,
it
just so
was.
natural, and we got to drink champagne.
Sure did. I just want to cheers you one more time.
Yes.
as we do.
Cheers.
Cheers to all the things you're doing this year and beyond. And let me know how I can be a part of it. All of you listeners out there, you've heard the word of how to stay in contact with Stephanie and to follow all the amazing projects that she has underway for this year, to serve her community, to serve children and young minds that are the future of us. So take a look at all of her Instagram, Facebook, all of her social medias, her website, and everything. I'll post them down below. And otherwise, I will see you all in the next episode of Dance Uncorked podcast. Take care.